15 years of my life I went through without knowing what was going on. And I think girls have the right to know, should have the right to know every single little thing that's going to happen to their body, and that there is a child in there. It's not just a blob of tissue. And it's just ridiculous that the lies that are fed to them through society and everything, it's just ridiculous that they're not getting the truth.
I think maybe 10 years ago people weren't passionate about pro-life, maybe because when they were born abortion wasn't legal. But nowadays you have kids that were born since Roe versus Wade that are part of the surviving generation. 1/3 of their generation has been slaughtered by abortion, and they're the survivors. It could have been them very easily that were killed, and I think that kids today, when they think about that, they think, wow, I could have been killed.
Our generation has accepted the fact that this is just something that we can do to get rid of our pregnancy, and that this is an answer to a problem. And what they don't understand is that they're actually killing a child. And I don't believe that our generation realizes the effect that this can have on the future.
We're the generation being murdered here, and so we have a say. And I don't think people were ready for that. I don't know if they had given much consideration to the fact that at some point those people whose lives were endangered by our government would actually be of age to stand up and say, you know, we were afforded no protection while we were in our mother's wombs and we could have been legally murdered, and we're mad, and rightfully so.
I mean, the media is, full of lies. Seriously, if you want to know the truth, you got to do research, and you got to study, and you got to dig deep to find the truth. And it's important to know the truth before you get involved in something that could affect your life or some other person's life forever. You know, it's our generation, and we need to start standing up for it. We are the voice for the voiceless.
When I was deciding, I felt like I had no other choice. I felt like this has to be it. You know, I have to have it. Nobody can know that I had to have this abortion. Being 15 and being still in school and so young, and you know, my parents, what would they think of me? My family, what would they think of me?
If they're actually trying to help kids, why don't they talk to kids about abstinence? For we know with abstinence comes no sexually transmitted diseases, and no AIDS, and no pregnancies.
Wasn't taught that I should be chaste until marriage. You know, I wasn't taught all these things, that if I did have sex at that point in time, being so young, being naive about relationships, that I could get hurt. And that's exactly what happened.
Don't go. Go, what can you do when you gave away the key, and your first true love stole away with your chastity, your virginity.
Saving sexuality and preserving your fertility for the right time is something revolutionary that young people can do in taking charge of their lives and not being manipulated by the whole mass advertising and merchandising.
Did you hear what I said? We prescribed a birth control pill we knew they would get pregnant on. How did we do that? We knew this pill would not work if it were not taken accurately at the same time every single day. And I know one thing about you. You don't get up in the morning at the same time if your mother doesn't tell you to. And nobody changes your sheets till their mother says change your sheets. The mother wouldn't know about this birth control pill, that young woman wouldn't take it accurately, and then I looked at Planned Parenthood statistics and I could tell that any time a young person was put on any method of contraception, birth control, that pregnancy, that sexual activity would go from 0 or once a week to 5 to 7 times a week. The pill wouldn't work, and I could accomplish my agenda. You see, I wanted 3 to 5 abortions between the ages of 13 and 18 from every young woman.
There's so much in the media about artificial means, contraception, you know, you can have all this fun and still not have unwanted pregnancies. But don't believe it all. Find out for yourself, inform yourself.
Wake up, and smell the coffee. Wake up, and smell the coffee burn. Did you learn not to put your hands where they burn? Did you learn, girl?
We don't teach women what the evils of abortion are. There's this whole pro-choice, pro-life, don't bomb abortion clinics, do bomb, that's really what it's a lot of noise and dissonance that's unfortunately not addressing the heart of the matter, which is, hey, I'm pregnant. Help me to make the right choice. Teach me what I should know. What should I do with my body? What about my heart? What about my mind? What's my future going to be like? Because I'm pregnant and I've got some big decisions I have to make. And most of all, love me, because I need that more than anything right now. I need to know that you love me, that you care about me as a person.
Boy, do you love her more than the words you say? Or will you take what you want and steal her heart away?
If they're really trying to help women, why don't they talk about something other than abortion? Why don't they talk about crisis pregnancy centers or even the choice of life? Abortion clinics only sell one product. Pro-choice people only talk about one product. That's because they make money.
Got a choice, gotta be a voice for the voiceless girl. Got a choice, gotta be a voice for the voiceless boy.
Fear is the mind killer.
In the last 7 years, I've really had a chance to go into public schools. I've spoken to over 1 million public school students in America. My life basically revolves around the generation that they've labeled X. I go into these schools, I spend every day with teenagers. I hear their problems, I talk to them, they share with me the things that they struggle with, and I believe a lot of it is indirectly an emotional result of being raised in a culture who said, we don't put any stock in who you are. You have no value, you have no worth, and if we had chosen to abort you, then it would have been our legal right to do so. You just aren't worth very much.
That's another thing abortion does. It brings down your self-esteem because you feel so bad about what you've done that you don't really care about yourself. So your self-esteem is low. So you have teenagers today growing up with very low self-esteem, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of bitterness with their parents.
I went through a gray area of my life where nothing seemed that real. Relationships, it changed the relationship of the man I was seeing, the guy I was seeing. My whole perspective on life.
I took that decision. I regret it today, but it was easy, convenient, and the people around us encouraged it. That was another very sad situation. The people that we were friends with at that time thought, oh, you two are too young, you can't do this, just terminate, just get it over with and go back to your happy, carefree lifestyle.
It just seems so easy to throw away and you can get on with your other. It seems very selfish. It was selfish of me at the time.
In this country, it's legal to kill a child all the way up through 9 months of pregnancy. And then, that just spills over into, now we have girls that are killing their babies after birth. We have a girl at the prom who decides that she's going to kill her baby, who delivers her baby in the bathroom at the prom and then promptly suffocates him and drops him in the trash can. So I think that kids have totally lost respect for lives, starting with their own, I think.
There's something very wrong going on, and they're being raised in a culture of death, and that they need to stand up and say, this is enough. We've had enough. We don't want our generation being slaughtered. We don't want our brothers and sisters being killed by abortion for no reason.
I think that what we have started to do is accept killing as the norm. We see child abuse has gone up over 1,000% since Roe v. Wade. We see battering of our spouse, has men and women, primarily women, but spouse battering has gone up. We know that we are a nation that kills in the streets now. I think we're a very angry nation, and I believe that abortion is at the root of all that.
Definitely abortion is where it started, because we said when we made abortion legal, we said to the world, life is not valuable. And these kids have taken that message and now believe not only that everyone else's life isn't valuable, but their own lives are not valuable either. So I think, until the laws are changed and the hearts and minds of people in this country are changed, I think we're going to see an increase in violence like that.
Abortion is wrong, and abortion can hurt, not just kill, but also kill the feelings inside of you. And I want to bring the message to others before they make that choice that I did.
In the name of a woman's civil right, Lord knows that doesn't make it right. Doctor, how can you sleep at night?
Because it's not if, it's when you kill a woman. You've got to have a doctor willing to help you in the cover-up.
The partial birth abortion is a very good example of how people are being deliberately misinformed about the impact of abortion procedures on women. In addition, the kind of things that they did to try to get to the baby, if you read the OBGYN textbooks, those things are associated with women dying, with women bleeding to death, with accidentally making a hole through the womb, and creating all kinds of havoc. And if you read our books, we're told not to do this. And so I'm sitting and I'm listening in front of Congress and hearing these women saying that they were told that they needed this to save their life when the opposite is true.
And the counselors have been trained to ask only the questions that get around the procedure and to answer only the questions that the woman asks. Is it a baby? No, it's a glob of tissue, it's a product of conception. Now, stop. Those very counselors may be in the back room in just an hour, counting the pieces of that baby, making certain it's all been put back together.
It is amazing that the abortion industry refers to the unborn as a blob of tissue, product of conception. I've even heard them call it ablative parasites, and yet technology has totally disproven that theory.
But they're lying to that woman. They know it's a baby. We know it's a baby because her body's already started making changes. Why in the world would they lie to her? Because she would walk if they didn't. And this next question is, does it hurt? And they say no.
It took over 1 hour to suck the life out of me. It was the most excruciating pain I went through. I went back to the room and suffered severe bleeding and pain and hemorrhaging and had to go through the whole procedure again because he didn't finish.
No one needs to go through anything like that. Suction, as powerful as that is, that could actually suck, feel like all your insides are just coming out. And that trauma in itself, your body is shaking, the table is shaking. I mean, you shake so much that they hold you down. They actually hold you down on the table. And you'll wonder, why would somebody put anybody through something like this?
Well, if they were told the truth, they'd leave, and we wouldn't make any money. That doctor makes a minimum of $50 a case, and in the first trimester, he can do 10 to 12 abortions an hour. That's $500 to $600 an hour. If he does second or third trimester abortions, he makes 50% of the fee. So for that $8,000, that $8,000 abortion out in Los Angeles, $4,000 goes into his pocket, but he can do 3 an hour. That's $12,000 an hour. What we're talking about here is major money.
And it's important for people to understand the reason that partial birth abortion was developed was that the current abortion techniques that exist when babies get to a certain size, number one, if you use the chemicals, there's a 15% chance the baby is going to be born alive. And so that one is a problem. So that they developed this one because what you can do is you can pull the baby out whole and you can make sure that the baby is dead because you kill him right before he delivers. So you don't have to count pieces anymore. The only thing is it takes 3 days. It's more dangerous for the woman, but it's better for the abortion provider because the person can guarantee they're going to have a dead kid. Now, if the kid slips out before you can suck the baby's brains out, you have a problem. Because if you have witnesses and you kill that kid, then it's a homicide. But if you do it in the confines of your own private abortion clinic, who's going to know? That's the dreaded complication for an abortion provider. A live baby, crying, and everything else.
Take this rose, today's my birthday, hey, hey. receive. Oh, heaven grieves the loss of a birthday. Happy birthday.
I've seen women who have nightmares, recurring nightmares perhaps, of babies who've been aborted, babies that are in pieces, babies crying, "Mommy, mommy."
From what I've heard from girls who've had abortions, some girls wake up at night hearing the screaming of children and wake up just in tears. They don't know what they're doing until after it happens. Nobody tells them it's a real living child in there. Nobody tells them that the heart is beating, the body is already forming. And when they realize what they just killed their child, they're just in tears, and the guilt.
Having been through an abortion experience, I can tell you that it's something that fills a man with regret, shame, resentment, and anger. And it's a feeling that carries with you for years and years. In fact, I don't believe you ever get over it.
The facts are very clear when you see these high-resolution images. It's no longer the blobs of tissue that technology used to look like. You can see the heart beating at just 4 weeks following conception, and you can count the single fingers and toes as early as 7 weeks when the baby begins to move. So the bonding sets in, and the mother sees that it's just her baby.
The reality is, and I think it's in most men's hearts, that upon conception, we all know that there's a child there. This is a human being. It's a real person.
What happens to a woman when she has an abortion? 1 out of 4 have problems with future pregnancies, including sterility. 94% have post-abortion syndrome, post-traumatic stress disorder. And then we also have horrible statistics about breast cancer now.
Overall, on average, women who choose abortion have a 30% greater chance of getting breast cancer later in life than women who don't choose abortion. And certain subgroups of women have much higher risks. For example, women who abort their first pregnancy when they are very young, say teenagers, and who also have a family history of breast cancer, have several 100% higher risk of getting breast cancer later in life. So this is a very substantial risk factor. It should have been on the list of risk factors a long time ago because it really acts through estrogen excess like most other risk factors. And in fact, it's responsible for some 5,000 to 10,000 cases of breast cancer a year in the United States alone.
Women can also have flashbacks to the abortion experience when they hear, for instance, a vacuum cleaner. It reminds them of the suction machine. And many women go into years of denial. And when that finally breaks, when they finally have to face the truth of the abortion they had, there can be deep depression, there can be anger, and even self-destructive behaviors like eating disorders and alcohol and drug abuse. I've known women who have inflicted pain on themselves, like pricking themselves with a needle or pulling their hair out as a way to punish themselves for that act of abortion.
And there's no way to get rid of that. It's going to be in your heart and your mind and your soul for the rest of your life.
They know that it's a lie, that it's not a solution to a problem. They realize that there's a feeling of emptiness and a feeling of really being haunted by what's happened to them. They understand that there's like a knife that's gone through their heart, their soul, and it's a wound that needs to be healed.
All this talk of sex and sin has got me torn apart within. And I want to be free. Yes, I want to be free. So special, someone so special, saving my sex for someone so special.
You're out there, people out there hurting, suicide, drinking, just looking for love in the wrong places, looking for someone to care. And all these symptoms are there, and it all goes back to this one event, the choice of having an abortion. And so from 18 to 34 years, I lived that life. And I was never happy. I was never satisfied with what I was doing. And I never understood, and I never found anyone to explain these things to me.
It was kind of a numbing experience. Going through the whole thing was kind of like being in a tunnel, you know, where you kind of separate yourself from the whole entire process, you know, you're going to the clinic, yes, you find out you're pregnant. All right, now you're in the clinic, you find out you're pregnant again, they do the sonogram because you didn't do it in a certain amount of time. And it's just numbing. It's like you don't even feel, for myself, I felt like I didn't even feel being there. And I didn't really feel it until a few years later.
I've had 14-year-old girls more than once tell me that they can't even hold a young baby in their arms because they feel the overwhelming sense of guilt for what they did to their child.
Seems like the most dangerous place on this earth. It's a mother's womb. Mother, Father, make room. In this war, my war, a war of blood and roses. In this war, my war, a war of blood and roses.
At the moment, we may be considered outlaws. You know, at least I'm speaking primarily about those who are peaceful with their actions. What will we be considered in 50 years? Will we be considered heroes? I would hope so. I would hope that at some point the actions of the people who are pro-life will be recognized and practiced. As they are now, we look back at the Nazis with disgust. We look back at the ovens that burned people's bodies to ashes with disgust. How do we look at the garbage disposals, the commercial garbage disposals that these babies' bodies are put into, and then they're ground up and they go through the drains and right out into our ground. Our ground is soaked with innocent blood.
If the pro-choice movement's really for women, why aren't they talking about the choice of life? You know, they're just selling one product. And choice indicates that there's more than one choice. And I'm pro-choice too. I just choose life every single time.
If you're thinking about having an abortion, or if you're pregnant and deciding that you want to keep the baby or you don't, know that there's always an option. You don't have to have an abortion. It's never an easy solution. It's always a bigger problem if you do have the abortion. There's always going to be pain involved. There's going to be hurt. And the one you're hurting is yourself and your baby. I'm living proof of that. You know. I've been through an abortion. I've been through the pain. I've been through the guilt. I lived through it every single day of my life. I don't think I'd never forget about it.
Back then there was alternatives, but they weren't widely known. There was adoption, there was birth support, there was all the things that exist today, although back then they were just in their infancy. And I'm thankful that the young people today have a broader availability of that.
I think one of the important things that we have to do in this society at this time is to teach our young people how to wait and how to evaluate things, because there is a wisdom that comes with life experiences and waiting before you decide. It is a decision to decide to do nothing. That's a decision, and there's an awful lot of power in just waiting.
There's a real opportunity here for young people to turn their lives around and take control in this way, and saying we're not going to be manipulated.
This is something that teenagers need to stand up for. Society has told us that we don't have a voice. We're Generation X. We have no purpose being here. Our purpose is nothing. We're just a bunch of hopeless teens that are going to be druggies for the rest of our life. But we need to take a stand and show society that they're wrong, that we have a voice and we have power and we can change the world. We can get the truth out there. It's our generation.
Stop, stop, stop the violence. Stop, stop, stop the violence. Stop, stop, stop the violence. Let me live.
There's a great amount of fear for people to make that first telephone call. That to tell somebody for the first time was a tremendous first step. A lot of anxiety and fear that is accompanied with that first initial contact. It's taken you a tremendous amount of courage to do this, and I know that, and this is the first step for you in the process of your healing. It's great that you've called.